it going? This is Seth, and in this video, I'm going to show you a really quick and easy way to get a full legal description and the exact name of the current owner for any property you have that you are buying or is going through a real estate transaction. This is something that not all real estate investors will ever really need to do, but if you ever need the full unabbreviated legal description, not the abbreviated version, you might be like a title company or a real estate attorney or a developer or a surveyor. So there's definitely certain types of professionals in the real estate industry who need this kind of thing. And if you are a real estate investor who is trying to close a transaction yourself, there's not many real estate investors out there who will do this. But for example, a land investor who is buying a piece of land at a very, very, very cheap price and there's no loans involved. It's a fairly simple, straightforward process if you know what you're doing. And part of that process is putting together the deed. And in order to put together that deed, you're going to need the legal description and the name of the owner who is selling that property. And one way you can get that is right here in DataTree. So all you have to do is find the property in question that you're working with. And DataTree gives you several useful ways to do this. You could search by the owner name or the address of the property or the APN or even a document number. In this case, I'm just going to find a random property in, I don't know, New York. Let's go with that. And we'll pick the first kind that comes up and we'll type in just a random name here. Click on the first one and we've got this house right here. And what we have to do is go down here where it says Rapid Legal Investing and click on this and click order. And what this is doing is it's automatically filling in the name of the owner and the address of the property based on what DataTree has on this. And what we can do here for reference number is just put any old number in here. It doesn't really matter. It's just for our record so that we can keep track of it. Go ahead and place the order. And what happens here is DataTree extracts the legal description from the latest full value deed and the vesting from the latest transfer document, which is then sent to DataTree's keying staff for review and verification. And the time it takes to get these reports back is usually anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. So it's not going to happen instantaneously, but it should happen relatively quickly. And if you're trying to do this for like a bunch of properties, say if you're a title company and you've got a huge list that you need this information for, you can do a batch order as well, if that's easier. And once we place an order on any of these kinds of reports and go back to our home screen, we can see a little overview down here of how many things we've ordered, how many things are ready to review, and how many things are currently processing. So this one that we just ordered is this one that we're seeing here in the processing stage. And while we're waiting on this, I'm just going to point out a couple other things. So if you do this in enough areas around the country, eventually you're going to find that when you try to order this rapid legal investing, sometimes you'll see one of these little red exclamation points next to this item down here, and it basically just won't work because it's not available. So this feature only works in the areas where DataTree has access to the deeding information, and it doesn't always have access to that. And you can find out which areas it does have access to that in through this geo coverage map. So if you go ahead and click on any state and any county, it'll just give you this rundown below of all the stuff it does and doesn't have available. And generally what you're looking for is down here where it says recorded documents, and it'll also show you this date, and that means how far back in time the recorded documents are available to view. But just if they're available at all, that's kind of what you're looking for. And you'll find that in some states and counties, like for example, California, there is a ton of information, like everything you could ever dream of. Whereas in other states, there's not so much. We can't actually see recorded documents in this particular state and county. So in this area, we would not be able to get this. And another thing I want to point out here is that if we were to order this thing up here called the property detail report for the exact same property, it's going to show us this information right here. And a lot of times we can see almost the same thing in this property detail report, but the legal description it provides is usually not going to be the full legal description, or it's going to be an abbreviated one with like abbreviations to the words in there. And there are some cases where the legal description you see in this property detail report can work. Like you could just copy and paste this, and in most cases the owner name is going to be the same as the vesting, but there might be slight differences in how it's worded, or maybe the names have changed or something like that. And what this rapid legal investing report essentially does is it pulls up the actual most recent recent document itself, which we could also go ahead and order right here, but it's going to take that document and it's going to be reviewed by a human set of eyes to make sure it's correct and usable on the deed when you go to close the transaction. And you can actually look at the document itself to verify that. So if you want absolute accuracy, this Rapid Legal Investing is what's going to get it for you. So just ordering this Rapid Legal Investing report is going to cost you $3. And there's also going to be a cost for the document image that it's pulling up to use for that. And depending on what kind of data tree subscription you have, assuming you're a subscriber at all, there's going to be a cost for that as well. For example, if you have the basic subscription at $7, the plus subscription is $6, and the premium one is $5 at the time of this recording. And by the way, if you're not already a data tree user and you want to become one, you can get discounted pricing through the REtipster affiliate link. That's retipster.com/datatree. And these prices you're seeing here are actually lower prices than you would normally be able to get if you just signed up for DataTree through the normal channels. So if you are interested in this and you're not already using it, be sure to check out this affiliate link and you can get a nice little discount for the lifetime of your subscription. Okay, so as we come back here to our home screen, I can see that that one order is now out of processing and it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and click on this and pull this thing up. So we will go ahead and download this thing to our computer as a PDF. We'll see what it shows us. Okay, so this is actually giving us a lot more information. This is definitely what we would want to include on our deed instead of that abbreviated description on the property detail report. Because if you remember, all this says is Lot 38 Delmar, which is not a whole lot of information. I'm sure if a professional surveyor got this and they're familiar with the state and the county and they just saw that, they could probably pull up their own tool like DataTree. Maybe they're even using DataTree and they could probably figure it out. But in this situation, this is definitely not giving us all the information that would need to be included on something like a deed or used to do a survey. Whereas when we look at this, this gives us a whole lot of information about what a surveyor would need to follow in order to perform a survey on this. You could just copy and paste this right into your deed. And it also shows us the name of the most recent grantee that would need to go on any future deeds getting transferred to anybody else. And it also shows us how they were holding title together. This is another very important thing that might not be evident without doing an actual title search to see how it was written on the most recent deed. And speaking of that title search, there's actually a separate video I have on how to do a title search through DataTree. It's actually pretty easy. But in this case, with this particular report, we can scroll down. It shows us the actual recorded deed from the most recent transaction. And we can see all the relevant information that that first page told us about the name of the grantee and the grantor and the address and how the grantees were holding title together. And we can scroll down here and see that full legal description, just like the report told us right up here at the very top, which again was not included in that property detail report. And honestly, this probably wouldn't be included anywhere else online that would normally be free because there's just a whole lot of information here. And in order to get the full unabridged legal description, you would have to either look at that most recent deed and or order a report like this that just spoon feeds it to you and you can copy and paste it just like that. So yeah, if you're a title professional or if you ever close transactions on your own for any reason or a surveyor or anything like that, and you just need really easy, convenient, quick access to the full legal description with all information included and the most recent titled owner, exactly as they hold title together, that's what this type of report can do for you. And given what a hassle it can be to get this kind of documentation without a service like DataTree, it's not that expensive for the convenience and speed that it offers. So if you're one who can benefit from this kind of information, I hope you found this helpful. And again, if you think this kind of tool would be useful to you in your business, whatever that happens to be, you can get discounted access to the service through the REtipster affiliate link. Thanks again for watching. Talk to you next time.